It's showtime.
It's showtime.
You're now watching the Star Wars Friends podcast, Razor Crest Reaction. Starting in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2.
This is the way. You're watching the Star Wars Friends podcast, Razor Crest React Show, covering each episode of The Mandalorian Season 2. Don't forget to subscribe and join the conversation every Friday night at 7 p.m. Eastern. Now, here are your hosts, the Star Wars Friends.
Yeah! Hey, what's happening, boys and girls of the YouTube and Facebook world? My name is Christopher Marin, and you are watching the Star Wars Friends podcast, Razor Crest Reacts. It's Friday night. You know it's going to get crazy because we're here with our Star Wars friends. And speaking of Star Wars friends, who is with me right now?
This is Josh, and I want everyone to know that this is not all of the Ahsoka swag that I have. I just didn't. I'm already sweating now, so I didn't want to put more pins on here.
So sweaty.
But yeah, here I am.
Looking good.
This is Kyle, and I actually have multiple Ahsoka shirts and artwork and all kinds of stuff I could have put up here, and I didn't do any of it.
You're like the biggest Ahsoka fan I know.
Fake fan.
Shun the non-believer.
Totally fake.
This is Maggie, and I am wearing orange, white, and blue eyeshadow to go with my Ahsoka t-shirt.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, she got that Dave Doodle shirt.
And I'm joined by Grogu.
This is good. It's only a matter of time until Terry Mithril has his name, because Baby Yoda finally got his name.
It's a premonition. And of course, we are joined by our very, very good Star Wars friend, Mr. Stephen Linn. Steve, how are you feeling today?
I'm doing great. I feel really blessed at the episode that I got to come on for.
Yes.
I think you told me about this maybe 3 or 4 weeks ago. And I was like, okay, episode 5 will be like mid-season. We might be slumping a little bit. We might be slumping to start high, middle, low, slumping it all, man. I'm excited to be here.
Good. And for those that have listened to the Star Wars Friends, been on our journey with us since the start, Steve was part of the Rise of Skywalker React show. I forget what we called that episode. We probably had some cheeky name for it. But
I think it was In Defense of the Rise of Skywalker. I think that's what
it was. I'll tell you what, it was one of our most listened to episodes by far. It definitely got a lot of reaction, and Steve really hit us with a lot of insight.
He did.
Different perspectives that I personally have never thought of. And we felt that Steve would be a perfect person here tonight, regardless of what the content is. It just so happened that you did draw the lucky card.
I got lucky. What an episode to come on for, man. Especially with Kyle and Josh here. I think they both are going to have a lot of super interesting takes, and I'm excited to hear them.
Very cool. And I also want to give a shout out to Steve's artwork. Steve, you have
Don't set me up for failure like that, please. Oh, yeah. That's great.
Yeah, so Steve designs a lot of Star Wars friend art that you have seen, and I can't wait to get it on a t-shirt, Steve. I cannot wait to get your artwork on a t-shirt. We can
I still love that I was turned into a porg.
Yes. I know, that was fun. Yeah, I was telling Chris, I love listening to the show. I do some art and stuff on the side, and my regular day-to-day job doesn't really have me be creative at all. So those are just kind of like Sudoku puzzles, like get your mind off of things. And I just kind of sink into them, and they're just kind of fun to throw out a bunch of stuff on there. Like Order 66 was an inside job, the Beaumont improv crew, things like that.
Oh, when you made me Thrawn, I mean, that's like no one has ever done anything that nice for me ever. So
awesome. I love it.
Oh, look at Kyle's piece here. That was from
there we go. You can have your card back now, Kyle.
I know. Lauren was trying to revoke it. That's bullcrap.
So this is a huge episode. Before we dive in, I want to give a shout out to Maggie, as always, for the This Is the Way fundraiser on GoFundMe. And I want to go ahead and put that up on the screen because you are just continually delivering here. So let's go ahead and put this up. In case you don't know, Maggie and her friends are spearheading this incredible GoFundMe fundraiser here. $17,108.
We just had a
Crushed it
$500 and a $200 donation, which is just like
Awesome.
absolutely surreal to see.
So
I think
cool.
we're well on our way to hitting that 20,000 mark.
Yeah, I think so too. I think that is definitely achievable. I mean, look at what you've done so far. I mean, this is incredible. Good for you. Good
Star
for you.
Wars fandom deserves all the credit. They've
Yes.
done something incredible together.
Yes.
It's so cool. It's really cool.
Very good work. Good work. And you have a big donor coming on another show that you do, Miss E.K. Johnson. Is that correct? She's going to be joining you guys on the Geeky
Fingers
Waffle, huh?
crossed.
Fingers
Yeah.
crossed? Oh, okay. So is everyone, did everyone watch the episode? Everyone in the chat? Is it spoiler? Can I
I
talk
did not
spoilers,
watch.
please?
I haven't
You
gotten
didn't
around to
watch?
it yet.
What
Yeah.
a fake
I haven't gotten
fan.
I did not watch.
Okay.
I watched 3 times. I've
already watched it a couple
three?
times. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
I've already
I
watched
watched
it a
at like
couple times.
5 a.m. and then I watched again when I like actually got up, and then I watched again
Can I just
right
say
before I got on.
that this was the latest that I've ever watched an episode because my mom had a doctor's appointment at
I
8.
saw that. Yeah.
And so I could not get up and watch it like I wanted to because I went with her. And I did not watch it until 9 o'clock. And I literally deleted Twitter and Facebook and Tumblr off my phone
Wow.
because I was paranoid. I was like, even if I turn off notifications, what happens if something pops up and I see something? And like, I just did not want to be spoiled by this episode
Yeah.
of all the episodes.
It's so tough. I mean, guys, in case, I mean, listen, I think everyone that watches the Star Wars Friends podcast knows this, but guys, stay off social media. Stay off social media. Just give yourself that
Just
that
in
little
general.
breathing room. Well, just in general.
Yeah.
Follow us at SW Friends Show on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. But for real, we see a lot of these posts as we go through our journey on Friday mornings of people angry about spoilers. I think the first couple weeks had a lot of aggression towards folks that are posting spoilers. And listen, rightfully so. If you're posting video or photos of these things without warning, like that's pretty inconsiderate. But I subscribe to the 24-hour rule, and that's kind of where I'm like, okay, you got 24 hours to watch it. It's literally on the world's largest streaming platform. It's one of the largest IPs on planet Earth. Please, you have 24 hours, and I just want to talk about it. I mean, I just want to talk about it, but that's why we're here tonight. So
use Rot 13. It's not that hard. Like, it's so easy to just communicate in code all day. It's not hard.
you did post something crazy today. I didn't know what that was. I don't know how to read that. So I guess I'm just too old.
If anybody doesn't know how to read Rot 13, just search it on Google and an app literally pops up and you pop the tweets into it and you can see what they say and then respond.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
It's a great way to speak in code, and the Star Wars fandom loves it.
I like
I like
that.
to
just
say
a
that we're
letter
speaking in
substitution.
Avaresh. It's Avaresh. Let's just say that.
Oh, okay. I like that. All right, everybody in the chat, everybody hanging out with us on the show. Deep breaths. Let's hear it. We want to hear all of your ideas, all of your love. I just have goosebumps because all I did was just think about what we saw today. So please share with us your thoughts, questions, the whole deal. This was such a big episode today on so many different levels, and I cannot wait to break it down. We know Kyle's watched it 3 times. Josh, you stayed up till 3 a.m. Was this your first 3 a.m. watch?
Oh. This season, yes.
Yeah. Wow.
Wow.
Had to do it. I actually had the opportunity to do it without ruining the having to work the next day or something. So
Yeah.
Cool.
I
haven't stayed up that late in about a decade. So good.
Me
for you.
too. Those days for me are over, man. By 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, my batteries are winding down.
Yes. It was. I can't imagine. And Kevin Cabral, our good friend Kevin Cabral, is in the chat tonight too. I saw he stayed up super late. I think he was live tweeting. Kevin lives by the spoilers be damned creed. I could tell on Twitter, and has gotten in some pretty funny conversations I got to see today. This is okay. I just put chapstick on because I'm preparing to talk for like excitedly for an hour and a half here. Where do we begin? Oh, you got some chapstick too. Everyone grease up. It's
I'm ready to go.
Gonna be a crazy one. Josh, what you
I
got?
got some. It blew my mind. I mean, I guess by seeing what the format of the episode was, it made sense. But I think we had all kind of thought that we were at earliest like second, third, we were gonna see her. Ahsoka.
Oh, really?
And I was like, oh, they ripped that Band-Aid off right away. She's like in the opening
Right away.
scene.
Right away.
Right away. Some of the openings this season have been really great. Like
Oh my God,
the
these
section
openings.
before the title card, some of them are so great. I've been daring some of my friends that are like, oh yeah, I'm supposed to watch it with my kids, so I gotta wait for them. I'm like, hey, watch it through the title card and then stop. Yeah, good luck.
Yeah.
No way.
So Kyle, I thought of you a lot during this episode because you are on this show, at least in my opinion. No offense, Josh, you are decked out very nice. You look very swaggerific. But Kyle is the Ahsoka. I mean, you are like the general of Ahsoka on this show. Definitely.
General
I mean,
Ahsoka.
No,
I
it's
agree
called
with-
an
I agree with that.
admiral. An admiral.
you're an admiral. Good call.
Grand Admiral.
Good call. You are the
I'm
Grand
excited.
Admiral.
I'm
Ahsoka.
excited to hear what he has to say. I really am because he hasn't said much yet. I don't even know if he likes it.
Not yet. Now, as y'all know, on the Razor Crest Reacts, we go through the entire episode, but we start off with just initial reactions. So I want to go to Kyle first. I mean, I genuinely thought of you several times throughout the episode. So what was your take on the episode? What's your initial reaction?
I was somewhere in the middle. I wasn't like madly in love with it. I also didn't hate it. I think there was some things that were like kind of big misses. And I think there was some as far as just that character. I thought the episode was great, but if we're talking about just the character, I thought there were some things that were kind of obviously off, and there was some stuff that was really, really spot on. But I got used to it, and it grew on me a little more after I watched it a couple more times too. I will say the first watch was my least favorite. I didn't dislike it, but I liked it more as I watched it again and again.
Okay. I feel that way about almost every episode this season is the second watch, the third watch makes it so much better. I guess, I mean, I kind of understand what you mean, Kyle. It's just that it's so much to take in right away, for better or worse. But wow. Okay. I mean, I love it. I love it. Josh,
I'm excited to hear what his middle of the roads ons are, offs are, because for me too, he's like the Ahsoka aficionado. So I don't know a ton about the character. So I'm excited to hear, well, I don't think, she would do this or she would do that. We're actually talking about that before the stream started. I think it's so interesting to get people's takes on characters because just like I do with a lot of my favorite characters, you kind of take on some things that like, right.
Yeah.
You kind of take on some things for yourself and combine it with the character, and it's how you and the character interact with how the story plays out. So I'm interested to hear that stuff as we walk our way through the episode here.
Oh yeah, me too. Me too. I mean, that's what it's all about. Now, Grogu, let's hear it, dude. What do you got?
Overall, I really liked it. I did have some nitpicks, but no major issues with how Rosario played the character or the way the episode played out or anything. All of my things were like, stuff like, dude, just like Ahsoka, use the Force and push that lady over. Like, what are you doing? Like stuff like stupid little things. But no, I really enjoyed it. It was really good.
Okay, Miss Maggie.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. Mandalorian, always here for that.
That's awesome.
So the only Ahsoka scene I really liked the most, her lightsaber battle was really cool. I had some issues with the pacing for that. But I really liked the scene with the training the child or trying that whole encounter felt like Ahsoka that we all love and know because there's some lightheartedness and some gentle teasing and it was snips. I mean, we saw her so perfectly. My actual biggest issue with this film, it felt like a film to be honest.
It did feel like
an hour-long film.
Yeah.
With this was the background character that had 3 lines and was otherwise silent and then given the honor of being the mayor or something at the end, but there was no dialogue and it was really awkward and it fell into a really unfortunate trope. So there was an article that came out at the beginning of the year that was about the silent Asian role and this trope that things fall into. And that was all I could think of when I was watching that. Cause he had 2 lines. It was watch out. And I don't want to talk to you. It was weird. And I wondered if stuff had gotten cut, if there had been more and then they just pieced it together. I was it'll work. Because the whole like final scene was really awkward with him just like kind of like smiling and like shrugging to Ahsoka and then walking back. I don't know. That whole thing like rubbed me wrong, and I've been thinking about it all day.
Yeah, you're right. That was
It was
kind of a
odd.
goofy
It was a
choice.
weird choice.
But overall, you enjoyed it. You
Yeah.
enjoyed it.
It was a good episode. We
Good.
learned the child's name.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Yes, we did.
Steve, before I go to you, I want to just give my quick take because I want you to take us
Yeah.
into the episode here. I think that Ahsoka aside, yes, Ahsoka's a character in this episode. I think that overall the aesthetic of the episode was incredible. It put us in a different place. A lot of Macquarie designs. The town was fantastic. The planetscape of Corvus. I love seeing Imperial decimated worlds. It's part of the Star Wars lore. It's part of what the Imperial complex does to create their machines of murder. So to see Corvus totally stripped down, and you see some smokestacks in the back at some point in time. Let's talk about Ludwig Göransson's score. And I know that Lauren Romo in the chat just popped up. That's by me saying Ludwig because that's her dude. But that score was incredible. I think that there was a lot of David Lynch Dune vibes going on in this episode. Oh my God. I love the character designs, all of them, including Ahsoka. I think that the costuming was fantastic. And all I have to say is white lightsabers in live action. That's, I mean, to
They
me,
are so dope. They really
to
just
me,
are.
Yeah.
okay, I talk about goosebumps all the time. I'm a very emotional person. I definitely wear everything on my sleeve. I'm very open. But Josh, you said it when we got her right away. My whole body, like, I don't know what happened, but my entire body exploded in goosebumps and excitement. And it's been a very long time. And I think probably the last time was when Rey pulled the lightsaber from the snow in Force Awakens in the theater. That might be the last time that I got that full explosion. Because this is a character I followed for how long? How long have we watched Ahsoka now? And watch the character development. And here we are. The white lightsabers. My God. Okay. Anyway, go ahead. Kyle, what you got?
I got two things about the aesthetics. When that cold open with the like kind of where she's out in the burnt down trees and mowing down all those red shirts reminded me a lot of Kylo Ren on Mustafar when he was doing
Yeah,
that
100%.
with that hazy burnt trees and all that.
The Iron Forest,
And-
I think they called it. Something like that.
Yes. And then I thought also when you were talking about the white lightsabers, I could tell, especially when they were on her hips, you could really tell that one was the shorter, like Shoto lightsaber.
Yeah.
You could see that in live action more than you could on Rebels, because it's the case on Rebels too, but they look more like mirror images of each other if you're not really, really looking.
I think the lighting off those lightsabers, like the actual cinematography, the lighting from those lightsabers was so beautiful how it framed the characters during the final battle, which I'm sure we'll get into. And we got a few photos, as always, we're going to show up. But it's just a different look, and I'm all here for it. I'm all here for it. Wherever it goes from here, I'm all in on live action Ahsoka. Very excited. Now, Steve, I want you to give us your reaction. What are your thoughts before we break down this episode?
I thought it was fantastic. And I think it's interesting because for me, I think you guys have talked about before, what's kind of people's the Star Wars thing, where for some people it's the books, or for some people it's the comics, the games, the cartoons, the live action movies. For me, I've always been, even from when I was a little kid, more of a live action movie. Like that's the most Star Warsy. Now there's this other stuff, but that's like the most Star Warsy. So this is kind of my first time seeing that character, even though I've seen Clone Wars, in quote unquote my most Star Warsy realm. And I don't think she let down at all. I'm interested to see people who have watched her
Highest
more.
level canon.
Yeah,
Yes.
exactly.
Yes.
Exactly. I'm interested to hear people's takes who have watched her more on the show, because I've seen Clone Wars all the way through once. I'm still waiting for the Kyle Ketchup segment where he goes through Clone Wars every single day and tells us what to know from this episode, what we should pay attention to.
I would love that if we had the time.
So I've been through Clone Wars definitely once, and I think I've seen most of Rebels. Okay. So coming from a mainly live action Star Wars thing, this is my first time kind of seeing the character, and I think there's a ton of interesting aspects from her. I think it was interesting that people called her to her face a Jedi a few times, and she never responded to that.
Yeah, yeah. No soul.
She never corrected it, which she
never
done.
corrected it. I thought that was really interesting because me being just a live action person, the last thing that I heard out in the rumblings was that she said that she is no Jedi.
Right.
So,
in those exact words.
Yeah. So I'm interested to hear her, but I also think Ahsoka very smartly uses silence a lot. I think she's grown up a lot in that where she was maybe a blabbery mouth little kid like we all are. And now people say things to her and she'll just kind of sit there for a second, kind of stare at them and just kind of think about what's happening and maybe not respond at all because maybe I don't need to respond to this, you know?
She's very wise.
There's a couple interesting things about deals being made and maybe deals being dropped that I think she used that silence to maybe get around, but we'll talk about that as we go. But my 30,000 feet top level, super excited. Awesome to see. This is our first time seeing Jedi in this world. I don't want the Mandalorian show to be taken over by Jedi, just like every other. Just like every other Star Wars thing is. I really like that this is the first time we've seen Jedi, but super excited. Awesome stuff. So many cool things to talk about.
Good. I like it. Yeah. So, okay. So you are kind of, you missed some things with Ahsoka, which is interesting because I tweeted out earlier that I've received more text messages today from people who aren't necessarily hardcore Star Wars fans or not. I mean, they definitely haven't watched Rebels or Clone Wars, but they really loved the episode. They want to know a little bit more about this, and that's cool. I mean, that's
really cool.
That's what we've always talked about is having a show like The Mandalorian to really open up people's eyes to different things. Like, for example, Mara in the chat, she posted her favorite thing of the show was Tython.
Yes.
Yeah.
Cool.
Oh, dude, if y'all don't know Tython, welcome to the club. And this is gonna blow your mind.
I was so excited.
Oh, what a cool drop. So this is really, to your point, Steve, for a lot of folks who aren't really hardcore into the fandom. I hope that this is some type of olive branch or
I think it's an interesting kind of angle to think about it, that this is many people's first interaction with Ahsoka. They're like, who is this person? Who is this Jedi? They don't know that she's quote unquote is or is not a Jedi or anything like that. So there's so much to learn. I do want people to know, though, I have been an ally for Ahsoka. Whenever people ask me about Ahsoka, I send the exact same clip from YouTube. It's the I didn't bring you a jetpack. When she's like, I don't need one, and she's on her way down. I'm like, this Ahsoka Tano. Here you go.
Love it. Kyle, what you
go ahead.
Go ahead, Maggie. It's fine.
No, go ahead.
Ooh, back and forth.
Oh, well, now I forgot what I was going to say because I was being polite. I'm going to let you go.
What I was just going to say was something like I think I've said before on here is that I really like the way that they have created Den as a gateway for new fans to experience things that we are all familiar with from his point of view, because he is largely unaware of the galaxy. I don't know what sheltered life he's lived for being such a well-known bounty hunter. He knows very little.
Harbored in a cult.
Yeah, I mean, it's the cult, but he knows so little. And so through him, we get to see our old friends and new Star Wars fans get to experience things for the first time without being made to feel stupid. Yeah. They don't have to be like, they don't have to rush to Wikipedia and try to figure out like what's going on. There's enough there through Din that they're like, oh, so this is Ahsoka. And then there's enough that they can be like, oh, well, maybe I should watch Clone Wars. And they don't feel like they're missing something because they are at the same level as the main character. And I think that, I don't know if that was how they intended Din to be or if it just happened, but it is truly like what I have always pictured as like a gateway Star Wars for people. And we already see people who are like, oh, The Mandalorian was the first Star Wars thing I watched. And now I've watched all the movies, or I've started watching Clone Wars. And it's like, it's such a great way, like big picture, to introduce people to something that I know people have talked about on here and on other podcasts, how difficult it is to know everything about Star Wars because it's existed for 40 years beforehand, and there's stuff that is canon and isn't canon, and like, it's great.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. If this points people to Clone Wars and Rebels after the fact and gets them interested in that and helps make the Rebels sequel / spinoff / whatever happen, or more content with those characters that we already love, that's a great thing for everybody involved.
Oh, agreed. And that's the thing. It's just all right. This is good. And Steve, you're part of this here, being kind of a quasi Ahsoka person. Now, we love Ahsoka. Clearly, she is the icon of our podcast. We have chosen Ahsoka to represent the Star Wars Friends podcast because Ahsoka is one of those characters that should be a unifying force, ideally, in the community. Ashley Eckstein, who had portrayed Ahsoka for as long as until this morning, she has been an incredible ambassador to the Star Wars community, and we are proud to represent Ahsoka at the Star Wars Friends podcast. So, with that being said, we get to chapter 13, which I thought when people put on Twitter that it was called the Jedi, because that came out pretty quickly after chapter 12. I was like, oh, maybe it's just wishful thinking. Maybe it's just hopeful, and it's not going to be the Jedi. It's probably going to be like the Captain, and it'll be the Mon Cala and the green J.C. Penney sweater, and then we get a whole offshoot episode there, which I would have loved. I would have enjoyed that one. But we get the Jedi. That's the title of this episode. How fantastic! And we had a bunch of thoughts on how this could have gone. It didn't go any way I thought it was going to go, which is the best type of Star Wars, is that I don't know exactly what's going to happen. But here, let me pull up here the first image we basically are greeted with of Ahsoka Tano. Look at that,
man!
One of the best ones of the whole episode.
Oh my God! So in the robes, which I thought we were going to see her in the robes the entire episode, I did not think that we would get as much de-hooded Ahsoka in this episode. I thought that there might be some difficulties on how to pull this character off in live action. I really think they did a great job of this. So those white lightsabers, the hood, everything about this is very samurai. The whole fight scene in the woods here is just absolutely incredible. So very cool scene here, and it goes back and forth between these kind of like scenes from inside the stronghold on the planet, and all these blaster bolts in the woods. So all these red lines, and there's a battle. Actually looked a little bit like Mimban from Solo, Star Wars story. I got a little bit of vibe from that. Just a war scene, and it cuts to the white lightsabers. It's so incredible. So very excited. Steve, what you got? What's on your mind with that?
Yeah, so the first time I was watching this scene, it made me think a lot of I don't know if you guys play games at all. Years and years back, there was a series called The Force Unleashed.
Yes.
For The Force Unleashed 2, there was a cinematic trailer that they put out that very much had this same vibe, where it was someone stuck inside a dark cell with a bunch of stormtroopers. And he would turn his lightsabers on and off and go in and out of the shadows. It was very reminiscent of this. It was very, very cool. So I loved how they made her go in and out of the smoke, in and out of the shadows. Super, super cool. Very samurai, yeah.
Let's pull up another image here.
They even dressed her in a kind of samurai-esque outfit. You can see once she takes that cloak off later in the light, she's got like those kind of like pants things that the samurai warriors have that look almost like a skirt, you know what I mean? But then they split
they're
when
kind of
she had
bushy at the
something just
legs,
like that. Yep. And then they did a couple shots where she's standing up on top of the ledge and it's like blowing in the wind, and she drops.
Oh yeah,
she's
so
very
good.
much like the Ronin of Star Wars.
Yeah, and Kyle, I was just telling Kyle the other night about a game called Ghost of Tsushima, which is a PS4 game. A lot of good shots. So along those lines, Justin, welcome to Razor Crest Reacts.
Hey, Justin,
a late
everybody's
entry.
got their
Ghost from the fog.
Like Ahsoka Tano in the woods. Justin emerges. So,
Hey.
Where's your white lightsabers, man? Come on.
Me? I don't have a white lightsaber.
Come on.
You need to
now.
give me one,
you
though.
do. Come on.
You need to give me one.
So
I got a dark saber.
So incredible. Yeah, I do have a dark saber too. We should play. So we have Ahsoka cutting through all these incredible looking troopers. Now, did anyone else recognize that they had Imperial insignia marks on them? So they had.
I didn't see that. Yeah.
So they do. They were definitely Imperial, but they had the really cool voices. They had the garbled voices. Very great costume design. Very excited about that. And
was their mask or a portion of their mask used again from something else? They look so familiar to me. I don't know if it was maybe that the eye slit, or I don't know if it was the tube. Something about them looks so familiar to me.
A lot of common design aesthetics in the Star Wars galaxy.
Yeah.
I can't think of anything very specific, but
didn't the eyes kind of look like Empy's nest?
A little bit. Yeah, a little bit. So we see all this fight scene. Now, anyone else get Clone Wars vibes from the fight scene? So I got a lot of Clone Wars vibes from her motions. I think they captured Ahsoka's motions beautifully in this opening sequence. I think it was so well done. It was fast. It was exciting, disappearing in and out of the shadows, only to dismantle the crew. We got a first-person point of view of Ahsoka sneaking up on a trooper. But ultimately, she eventually ascends to this gated fort, this fortified area. And she is greeted with the magistrate and Michael Bihn's character. And I don't know that character name. So if anyone knows that Imperial officer's name.
He was like Captain.
Captain. Okay. Captain. Okay. We'll deal with Captain because they're not doing a lot of crazy names in this season.
He was so jarring.
Oh, I liked him. Because he was creepy.
I couldn't stand it.
He was so creepy.
I was just, when I was on Octu.
Some kind of accent or a voice that was... he was definitely trying to portray, I don't know if it was a strained voice or like that he's had a strained past or something like that, but they were definitely trying to portray that he's either under tension or has been through tension or has been through pain or something like that. So
he's like a hired mercenary, wasn't he? So he's probably been through all kinds of stuff.
Hired gun, they called him later, I think.
Yeah, when I was on Octu Radio earlier today talking about this, I pointed out that like he felt really uncomfortable, like he walked awkwardly, he walked like an actor who wasn't comfortable in his costume, and it distracted me the entire time. And I also couldn't figure out who he was because I knew his face, but I couldn't figure out like who he was. And for me, it reminded me of when Bill Burr was in it. It was like a face I recognized, and he stood out like. Some people look right for Star Wars. Like some people have a face that you can just forget that you know them. And he was a face that was like, you've been in a bunch of like B-level like films on Sci-Fi Channel.
Which is true.
On Sci-Fi Channel that I've watched at like 11 p.m. when nothing was else on, and your face is not a Star Wars face.
Right.
And he stood out, and he was just so stiff. Like he walked like.
I loved it though. I loved it. But I liked it because it was so weird. But then
didn't you just like Bill Burr though?
I mean,
I hated. I hated Bill Burr because Bill Burr played Bill Burr. That was why
that's
I didn't
true.
like Bill
That's
Burr.
true.
Bill Burr played I love Bill Burr in Breaking Bad. Because he played a slightly different.
He was good in that show.
Yeah.
He played a slightly different Bill Burr.
Slightly different.
Come on,
slightly
an
different.
actual character. Yeah.
he was Johnny Ringo in Tombstone. He had like one of the best characters in that movie. Are you serious?
Oh, yeah.
No, you're right.
Michael Bihn's good.
Michael Biehn is good. I really like this character. It reminded me a lot of 1980s action films like RoboCop and things like that, where the villain is just like, to your point, Maggie, so stiff and like.
He was so awkward.
But I loved it. So, all right. We talk on the show sometimes where we have to go back and listen to things or hear things like Boba Fett spurs when Cobb Vanth walks into the cantina. Did anyone else notice that Rosario's first few lines of dialogue were very clipped and nuanced to meet Ashley Eckstein's delivery of Ahsoka's dialogue? It's something I would encourage any of you to go back and listen to, but it was very, very, I think, intentionally done so you can break into the voice, because as the episode went on, Rosario was very Rosario. But the first few lines of dialogue, go back and listen. You're going to hear some nuance and some inflection that is very similar to Ashley Eckstein. Kyle, what's your thoughts on that?
I thought her cadence and, of course, the dialogue, Dave is involved, so the dialogue itself is going to be on point. But I thought her cadence was on point, and the tone, the emotional tone was correct, but the tone, as in like the actual frequency of her voice, was never going to be close.
Right.
Ashley's voice, she's like an angel on earth with the voice of a cherub. So like, obviously, no one's going to match that.
Send that clip to Ashley, somebody.
Ashley sounds so like young and so youthful
So
that she
young.
brings that to Ahsoka so well, and that was one of the reasons why, all things aside, I like the idea of Rosario, because has a more mature voice and a more mature like body language, and so that's what I was hoping and like envisioning for Ahsoka at this point in her life.
Agreed.
Yeah, that's
it's
what I was
not,
going to
it's
say.
not really
Is
that much later than we saw her in Rebels, though.
No.
Is the other
No.
thing.
Yeah.
No.
Oh, yeah. So okay. So like that's where someone like me wouldn't. I don't know those gaps of time as well as you guys do. Does it make it easier knowing that maybe we haven't seen her for a while? But you're saying it hasn't been that long.
So
It's
number
what,
one,
been 5 years, 4 years?
it's been about I mean, it's quite
Since
a bit
the
of time.
scene where she crashed and she's looking at all the helmets. Since then,
No,
That was actually the end
no,
of Clone Wars.
Yeah, that's a
She
very
was
long
in
oh yeah,
Rebels,
okay,
too.
yeah, you're right. Yeah.
Let's
okay.
not forget, Ahsoka has gone through a lot of shit
She's been
in
through
her
so
life.
much.
Number two, the last time we saw Ahsoka, she went probably through the most major shit of her life, which was almost being killed by her former master on Malachor, then being pulled into the world between worlds, which is just like totally crazy. So Ezra Bridger saved her life, went through a time portal to move her into the modern realm, and she basically is faced with all of these different, really heavy emotions. We know her story. We know that she
Homegirl's been
is
through a lot.
a lot. So yes, we kind of joked Ahsoka the White, but I think Ahsoka the Wise. I think Ahsoka is that elder Jedi Master, and that scene that we're about to talk about in this episode, I felt very Yoda in ESB. I mean, it was just like, and it
So
wasn't as
tremendous.
profound, it wasn't as deep or lore setting, but Ahsoka is, to everyone's point, even in the chat, people talked today already about her stoicism and just kind of like just listening or be thinking before she speaks, and that's just really, it's just really something to think about. It's good.
Well, she is the best of Obi-Wan and Anakin and Padme, and that's very much Obi-Wan. She's showing the patience and the compassion and just her connection to the Force, and that's, you saw a lot of that, and that's, she really develops that as she gets older, and I think even as she realizes kind of the path that some of that edgy stuff Anakin did led him down, because at this point she does realize his failure, and she even mentions it. And I'm putting the cart before the bull a little bit. We'll get there, I'm sure, but I think that whole thing with Anakin weighs on her mind
A lot.
probably all the time.
So I totally agree. I just pulled up this photo just so we can talk real quick about the aesthetic without the robe. I really think that this captures Ahsoka so well, an elder Ahsoka, or an adult Ahsoka, and it's just beautiful. It's just marvelously done. I love it. Everything about the look, I'm on board with. I was very nervous. That they weren't going to be able to get it right. But I think that they pulled it off marvelously. Kudos once again to the strong costuming team at Team Mando. So very cool. Kyle, what are your thoughts on it?
I'm going to counterpoint that. I think it was good, and she looks mostly good. I think the Leiku are pretty bad.
Okay.
I think they have like cracks in them. I think the blue is not dark enough. I think the striping isn't vertical enough. I think they're too small. I think I've seen cosplayers at conventions that have Leiku that look just like that or better. And I think for her to be on the Mandalorian, they could have.
I agree.
More with that.
I agree. I will say that I think it was the art director for The Mandalorian tweeted that the reason why her Leiku are so short is because of proportions to Rosario's like body, and also the fight stuff didn't work with longer Leiku.
Agreed. That was it. Yeah. I mean,
I think it was that debate of like, what can we like logistically do and still like salvage the image?
Hey, I think there was a huge movement for a long time to get Rosario to play Ahsoka. I think
For years.
yeah, and
There's
here
that
we are,
picture.
so-
There's that picture from the early 2000s of her and Hayden.
That's right. That's right.
And people, like, I remember seeing fan art of her as Ahsoka back in, like, when the Clone Wars was airing originally.
So I'm just going to chalk it up to I'm super psyched. I think it was well done. Steve, what's on your mind?
Is there anything, me being the Star Wars apologist that I am, is there anything that as that species ages, the colors fade, they shorten up, we get taller and then we get smaller. Anything there?
No, Shock T had some.
It's actually the other way around. They get longer as they get older.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay.
Now, I like Alan's point in the chat here. Sorry,
and actually, someone called me out on that, but they are called Leku. So
they
the
are.
top are Montrells, the bottom are Leku.
Yeah.
And I think the creases is just like crow's feet. I mean, dude, I'm old as shit. Come on now. I mean, it's like, yeah, of course they're gonna wrinkle up a little bit. Go ahead, Josh.
I did see people online saying, well, like, look at how big Shock T's were. And I was like, Shock T didn't do anything in the movie. So, like, she didn't have
got cut down by Grievous.
Yeah. And I would be really sympathetic with the top part, but the part that hangs down her body should have been longer, in my opinion.
Yeah,
any chance it was super cold on this planet, and
I don't know if that's how that works exactly, but it is possible.
Does Leku get shrinkage?
Well, they might. All right, so here we go. We got a lot to cover here. There's a lot of ground to cover. Let's kind of be expeditious and get to the really heavy parts here. So we get this dialogue between Ahsoka and the magistrate and Michael Bihn's character, Captain, my captain, where she's got. The magistrate has this prisoner clearly tortured. It's like, how many lives is worth your life, or whatever her dialogue was, basically trying to pull at Ahsoka's heartstrings. Ahsoka's basically like, yo, you got one day before I come back and just literally light you up. So deal with it.
She was not having it. She was just like,
Yeah, she probably knew she could take them all, but was probably tired from.
I mean, it's Ahsoka Tano.
Right. You can't. No, I mean, undeniable. So she disappears into the shadows. Michael Bihn's like, yo, we got this. I got like 2 robots and like 12 guards. Like, it's totally fine. I knew right then and there they were going to get smoked. So then it cuts to the Mandalorian and our good friend at this point in time, still known as the Child, a.k.a. Baby Yoda, in this beautiful, fun little moment where he's, hopping around the cockpit of the Razor Crest, and Space Daddy's like, hey, have a seat in the back seat. Like, you got to chill. And the baby's like reaching towards the silver knob, which we know.
My heartstrings.
Oh,
yeah. That's his favorite toy.
Can I just say, like, when this moment happened, my very first thought was, oh no, they are going to have something happen at the end of this episode, and Din is going to remember that he took the ball from the Child and have it in his pocket. Like, he's going to get back on the ship alone. He's going to reach to do something with that thing and be like, oh no, it's not there. And like, have that emotional moment of like, what have I done? And that's all I could picture. And I was like, do I want to stop this episode right now and just look for spoilers? Because like, I didn't know if I could emotionally be like fit to handle that.
It definitely had enough prominence to know that it was going to play a part at some point, but the part that it played, I was not expecting and was delighted. So that was very cool, but it just definitely tugged at those emotional strings. He gets the ball off. That's hilarious. He's using his force powers like he stole the space macarons, and he now knows that he can pull things into his direction whenever he so chooses. So they are now pulling into the atmosphere of Corvus, which is, we learned from Bo-Katan, was a forested planet. Clearly it is deforested. It looks like it got hit by a planet destroyer. It really is something to behold. Beautiful planetscape, by the way. And I know it's ghastly, it's ugly. That's why I said it had a lot of Dune vibes, David Lynch Dune vibes. But that is great Star Wars. Not every planet's going to be a total desert or a rain planet or whatever. You have to have these industrial wastes from time to time. And that was pretty cool. Steve, what are your thoughts?
I wanted to see at that scene right there, I love the New Hope call out. to the guys tracking him as he comes
Oh
in.
yeah, good
That was
call.
great. I was like, oh, this is so on point right there. And I do want to say, back to where Ahsoka was standing at the gate, I gotta say, at 406, it looks like there's a solo shrug by Ahsoka. I just want to say that. There's a little solo. There's a little solo shrug. Look around 406. I think you might see a little solo shrug.
Okay. Well, we get oh, Kyle, go ahead. Sorry.
I do think, and I think this is sort of what you were saying earlier, Chris, that very first conversation that Ahsoka had with did they call her a magistrate or whoever, the woman with the spear, was very much Ahsoka. It's no nonsense. I'm not taking your bullshit. I'm like telling you how it is. I'm going to give you an opportunity to do the right thing. And then if you don't, I'm just going to do whatever I want. And that's like very much Ahsoka. Especially at this stage.
Agreed. And so we learn a lot about this, and it gets really good from here. So the Mando now walks up to the gates. He's greeted by these guys, whatever they are. But yeah, take a look at the Imperial insignias. They're right on the left chest. You can't miss them, and it all ties in at the end of the episode. So Mando walks into this village, which is destitute. It's very awful. And he goes up to a vendor, calls her vendor, because of course it's the Mandalorian season 2. And we just call folks for what they are.
Hello, vendor. It's so much. Has anybody played Skyrim?
I know of Skyrim.
It's so Skyrim-ish, and I love it to death.
Hello, vendor. That was funny. And then vendor, of course, just ignores him and walks away. Then he looks down an alley to see a man and 2 children and tries to talk to them. The man shoos the children away. He's like, don't talk to them and don't talk to me. And I'm like, okay, this planet is weird. And Mando obviously is confused because he's just trying to get information about the Jedi. And then that's where these soldiers come up and says, yo, the magistrate wants to see you. Now, we get to go into the magistrate's, the inner courtyard, but we're greeted with these citizens inside of these torture racks. And it's so creepy, very medieval, very, the one gets shocked and looks like the one Imperial soldier or captain from that one episode with Bo-Katan, because you get to see the whole inside of the skeleton and things like that. But it just looks like real nasty public humiliation. And that's pure torture. Steve, what are your thoughts?
I do want to say specifically about those people. I feel like some of the one-line characters don't often get call-outs. I think that guy did a really good job at that scene. And then there's a later scene where she says, go ahead and execute him. And he says, please don't. His timbre of his voice, the way he delivered it, I really believed him. I think so. Whoever you are, 2-line guy that was in the stockade, you did a great job, man. You really did.
Love it.
I'm very sorry for anyone who has listened to any podcast I've done today or tomorrow, because I'm just going to keep repeating myself about this whole thing. I love Star Wars when Star Wars is uncomfortable. It's one of the reasons why I will forever love the Canto bite scene at the Last Jedi, because it shows that the Star Wars also has an incredibly dark underbelly and things. I mean, obviously, it's about war, but we oftentimes don't see those effects of war and the way that people, I think it appeals to the historian in me and the anthropologist in me who actively wonders what's going on beyond what we're seeing. And I think seeing these horrors and these uncomfortable truths of the effects of war and what is happening at a larger scale across the galaxy of these people who are so power hungry and will stop at nothing to hurt people to get their own a means to an end, essentially. I love it. I love dark Star Wars. And I think that that's one of the reasons I will forever rally around the idea of having a darker Star Wars with a director who will go there.
Yeah.
Because it's a world at war 3 times over. Things are not great. Baby Yoda's really cute, but the world is not great.
Bo-Katan, knife to the throat. That's all I gotta say.
That stuff, go there. Yes, it's a kids show, but it can go there.
They went pretty hard this season.
It can go hard. Go hard.
Kyle, what's on your mind?
Well, and this woman, this Imperial woman, is destroying entire planets just to farm it of resources.
Just for fun. I mean,
to build more military stuff,
right?
America, but
and that was the whole thing in The Last Jedi too, because Rose and her sister were from a planet that had its entire mineral resources stripped by the First Order.
That's what happens to Lothal in
Yeah.
Rebels. Spoiler
Right.
alert.
Well, I mean,
Yes.
how do you think they build these things? I mean, it makes total sense.
But Chris, I did want to say, the torture thing that they had them standing in, where if you lean over too much, it like shocks you. It reminded me very much of when Kit Fisto and Anakin Skywalker and Padme Amidala and Jar Jar Binks are trapped by the electric eels in the Clone Wars.
Yes.
In Star
See, that
Wars.
would be
When
this
helping
week.
Lee Char?
This week on Kyle's
While
Clone
helping
Wars
Prince
Catch-Up.
Lee Char.
Helping Lee
Yes.
Char?
Kyle's Clone Wars Catch-Up.
Yes,
Oh,
Clone
Lee
Wars
Char.
catch
I
up.
got you.
That's
Char.
this one.
Lee Char.
No Lee Char.
His
All
little
right.
wizard zapper thing.
Let's move on from Lee Char. So when we get to this inner courtyard where the Mandalorian is greeted by the magistrate. I mean, listen, she's in this beautiful complex, clearly hoarding all the goods for herself. I mean, this is like classic trope here, but she has this droid in the background that actually looks like a Coruscant police officer helmet if from the Clone Wars. Very similar design there, very cool. But she has this, she's going back and forth. Mando's trying to find the Jedi. She wants to kill the Jedi, so he accepts a job. He tells her it's going to be pricey, and she goes ahead and she's like, "All right, well, hey, here's the staff," and this is a massive staff that she hands over to him, and he just dings it on the gauntlet, and it produces this very resonant tone, very nice tone, and immediately he knows it's Beskar, and this is kind of the payoff. Hey, if you kill the Jedi, you can get this Beskar spear and return Beskar to your rightful keepers. So,
again, with all the like samurai vibes that this show has, I think that set that you just had up on the screen was like a koi pond garden that you would see in any kind of like Japanese movie.
Right.
Yes. So, and this is an interesting thought from Sean here in the chat. He thought it was going to be the staff Ahsoka has at the end of Rebels. I did feel that we were going to see that staff.
That would have been cool.
At some
Yeah, that
point.
actually would have been pretty cool.
We did not, but I thought we would. So
it's so interesting that like the Beskar always seems to be the trump card for I need to do this other thing, but Beskar, so I'm going to do this thing first and then I'll go get the other thing. But I do think they are totally setting up. I know when the High Republic art came out and they had lightsabers with metal cross guards on them. I'm like, is this Beskar? Do we know if Beskar can hold up to lightsabers? Because I'd never seen that before, being mostly live action focused. And this episode kind of shows us it looks like Beskar holds up pretty well to a lightsaber.
Pretty dang well.
I think this is the first time we've seen it anywhere.
So I'm going to go ahead and say that those High Republic sabers are probably cross guards with Beskar.
Interesting.
Okay.
It makes sense. And
a High Republic drop on Razor Crest Reacts. I like it.
There you go. High Republic news breaking here.
And this kind of like, I think the EU explanation of this was that it, it's like can take glancing blows from a lightsaber and was like lightsaber resistant, but obviously this spear was like it wasn't lightsaber resistance. It was lightsaber proof. Like
Yeah.
Well, and Din blocked Ahsoka's lightsabers with his
gauntlet,
his forearm.
Sick.
So again,
he was pretty baller with that too. I'm just saying because like he doesn't really know a lot about the Jedi, and just to be like, oh, laser sword, yes, like you could have lost your whole arm too.
Right.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Do we think that means that Beskar holds up to a lightsaber no matter what, or if you do like a direct stab, could you stab through it? How's that work?
Well, she literally had them over her head.
Yeah,
and it didn't break.
I mean, she swung and hit him, and it didn't. But you know how they do like the stab through the door and cut open the blast door thing. Yeah.
Like holding it and melting it. Kind of
I don't think it'll melt, and it leads into my thought that Moff Gideon has tried to grab all the Beskar in the galaxy to build these Dark Troopers, and we're going to see that whole foreshadowing take place that a lightsaber cannot cut through a Dark Trooper because it's made of Beskar, and that's going to make it a terrifying machine.
Not to skip ahead, but I do want to pose this question while it is on my mind. Who among us thinks that Din is going to have to use that spear against the Darksaber?
Oh, 100%.
I didn't think about it until just a minute ago when Mara put it in the chat here.
I didn't even see that.
Yeah, I didn't think about that at all.
That
The
was like
first thing I
my
was
first
thinking
thought.
is I really hope they don't melt that down because that thing's badass on its own.
Yeah.
Number two, hey, that would be really useful against the Darksaber, in which someone has it, you're probably gonna have to have conflict with very soon. So that's very convenient that he now has that.
I've played enough video games
Honestly,
to know
yeah.
that when you pick up a tool like that, you're going to
Yeah.
use it again for the next mission.
Yeah, you're gonna need it later. It's basically Chekhov's gun.
Right.
Yeah, but frankly, the way he stood up to Ahsoka and blocked her sabers and wrapped her up with this thing, if that was Moff Gideon, it was already over right there. He would have won. He might not even need it.
Yeah.
For sure. Now, we see Mando leave the town. He talks to Michael Bihn's character. It's like, yeah, I'm going to find this Jedi, whatever. And Michael Bihn's like, yeah, good luck. Well, whatever. So Mando's searching this forest.
Can I talk about this moment just real
Sure,
quick?
yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so who else sees what I see in this picture?
I do.
Oh,
I saw
yeah.
it
Look
on
in the
board.
top left corner, please.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what it is. Once again, being a live action guy, quote unquote, I know that there is an association between Ahsoka and an owl, but I don't know what that association is. So I hope that they delve into that a little bit more, or maybe
it's
this
a
is just a
convor.
little Easter egg.
Sean's got it. Sean's got it.
Convor.
It's Morai is in the episode Wikipedia even. So
Oh,
Yes.
really?
Oh yeah.
Yes.
How cool. What a nice touch. What a nice touch. So, yeah, there's more up top
if
left.
you want to watch
Can't miss
the Mortis arc on Clone Wars,
Oh
you
my
can
God.
catch up on Morai.
it. Highly recommended.
So
Mortis
good.
arc, for sure. A little heavy, but I guess if you're watching these episodes, you kind of need that. I would think so. So, Morai, yeah, top left corner. Good call there. But this is the planet escape here. It's just terrifying. It's ugly. It's miserable. Very Mimban, or not Mimban, I'm sorry, Mustafar, that Ironwood Forest vibe, creepy, dark, everything's dead. But he is very close to finding Ahsoka. Now let's go ahead and let's see here if I have. I'm trying to look through my screen grabs. I didn't have a ton of time. I know Maggie and Josh sent me a bunch. I don't have.
While
any
you're
screen
looking, hey Chris,
Go ahead.
while we're talking about kind of like an Easter egg kind of thing, did anyone notice? I think it was 2 episodes ago when Din first gets back to the school. Did you guys notice there's an IG-11 like statue in the middle of the
Oh
town?
yeah.
Oh yeah,
Okay, I saw that. I've heard people talking about it, and I was like, "That's so great that's
super
there." Anyway,
cool.
go ahead.
Super cool.
He's a folk hero now. He's a
Yeah,
He's
right.
a folk hero. So he's passing through the escape. He sets the child down on a rock, and he's like, all right, just hang out here. He hears something, and he thinks it is those weird 2-legged creatures that are hanging out in the forest, those giant dinosaur looking things. Turns out it's Ahsoka dropping in from the sky. And they get into a really beautiful Jedi Mandalorian battle. It's quick, it's effective, but you get to see all the tools on display, different abilities. Mando goes ahead and wraps her up in the cable, kind of makes her defenseless, ties up her arms. It's Ahsoka. She uses her jump ability, goes up and over the ledge, pulls him up like a
pinata.
Commando
And-
pinata, like a
It's a
pinata?
dinata. It's a dinata.
Dinata, yeah.
Dinata. And so she cuts herself down. It's a whole thing. It's a really beautiful scene.
Can I just say him getting strung up was like, that's what you get for doing it in the first episode of the season, bud.
Yeah.
Karma.
Yeah. Yep. Exactly. That's a good call out. So they get into like almost a stalemate at one point, and he just really quickly before he gets cut up, Ahsoka, Bo-Katan sent me, or something like that. He like really calls out just so she knows to stop fighting. And they kind of break. And anyone wants to jump in.
It was
if I
actually
missed
like
something here.
a really great line because he goes, Ahsoka Tano, Bo-Katan sent me. I need to talk to you. And she like looks past him and sees
that's right.
Grogu and is like, I hope it's about that.
Yeah, she goes, I hope it's about him. And that was like really the first line that she said to him, which is fantastic. We all wondered, we all speculated, we all thought, like, how would Ahsoka react to this creature that resembles Yoda? Would she name drop Yoda? Would she talk about her history?
Yes to all.
Yaddle erasure. Tiernan is not here to be in the chat. But
I
that
know,
was
there's
Yaddle erasure.
Yeah.
She didn't know Yaddle.
How did she not know
There's
Yaddle?
so many Jedi. There's so many Jedi. Ahsoka
Did you
probably
ever
doesn't
see
know how
Yaddle in the
You know-
Clone Wars? I mean, she wasn't
I was
around.
gonna say, I think you know the ones that are who are on the council though.
Yeah, she was on
There's
the
only
council too, right?
13 of them.
Yes.
Yeah,
And
there's
they
only
kind of
13.
broke the,
Yaddle.
like,
I figure that's part of
She
Jedi
was-
history.
Yaddle,
right?
She wasn't on the
Yaddle came
council.
in-
She wasn't on the council during the Clone Wars, guys.
Right. Yeah. Yaddle was not on the council. Just keeping the seat warm for Kiadi Mundi or Plo Koon or somebody while they took a smoke break. It's
But
all
it seems like they're going in a different direction because she said only one, and maybe the timelines didn't work out and she only met the one, but they also kind of broke the naming format where it's like Yoda, Yaddle. This is a totally different.
I'm so glad they did.
Different
I
name.
did not want a Y
Thank
name.
you. Yes, I'm so happy with that. So this is so cool. They after they do their little thing and she walks over to Baby Yoda, it cuts to this wonderful moonlit scene where, and this isn't from that particular scene, but it sets the tone as far as like the actual visualization. They're in this like nighttime, right? You got the big full moon, but they're under
Yes.
a glow lamp. You can't, not obviously not in this photo, but they're under a glow lamp, and Ahsoka is staring right at the child, and they're just looking at each other for a very long time. You can tell, if you know anything about Star Wars, you know they're communicating through the Force.
And the child was babbling, and Ahsoka kept looking at Din, who was pacing
Yeah.
like a nervous father. And I was
Oh,
like,
yeah.
they're
It was
talking
great.
about him.
It
They're
was
talking
great.
about
It was
him.
I thought it was really well done.
So well done. Yeah, you're right. The pacing was so cool because it did feel like that father-son moment where the son is injured, or, I don't know, that he's in the hospital and the dad's like super nervous, but clearly there's something going on here between the two. And after, Ahsoka picks up the child and walks back over to Mando, he asks her, are you guys communicating? She goes, yeah, something like that. Or can you understand him? And she calls him right away. She just drops his name. Grogu just drops his name.
Mhm.
It's like, oh yeah, this is
I
Grogu.
was surprised how nonchalant that was too. I didn't
Yeah,
expect
me
it to
too.
just jump out like that.
Can I just say that this moment was ruined for me?
Why?
Because this leaked this week on Reddit. And
Oh,
I
really?
saw two people on Twitter this week who had their usernames that said his name is Grogu.
Stay off the internet.
So
Everybody, every human everywhere.
But here's the
Just-
thing. Hey, I'm sorry, my job involves me being online. I can't do that. It's a privilege that I do not have. But can I just say that scoopers ruin shit, and it
Yeah, they
makes
do.
people's jobs so much harder. I've been told stuff. I haven't run my mouth. There's no point in doing it. Just enjoy knowing what you know, and don't ruin it for people, and don't put it in people's like mentions. Don't be a dick.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think anyone
Easy
that
rule of life: don't be a dick.
Yeah.
that is the primary rule of Star Wars Friends podcast. Don't be
It's
a dick.
unnecessary. Like what does
Put
it
that on a
get you?
t-shirt.
What does it get you?
It gets you some type of weird notoriety on Twitter. It gets you clicks or whatever. Steve, what's your thoughts?
I was gonna say it's interesting that I'm not super crazy about the name, but I'm also open to maybe some nicknames will grow on me a little bit more. Like
He's gonna be Hey Kid forever.
Hey, kid.
I like Kid better than Grogu, or
Buddy,
like
I think
Grogu. I don't know. It just maybe
I could
it's
kind of
because
take or leave it too.
I was expecting a Yoda-like name. I'm not saying that it should be. I'm fine with them changing it. Maybe it's just going to take me a couple. It's going to take me a couple episodes to get used to it. But right now, I'm kind of lukewarm on it. Don't know how I feel about it.
So this was the
think
question
about
I
Yoda,
wanted
though.
to ask.
Yoda's not a cool name.
it's
this is
you're right. You're 100% right.
And
Yeah.
that I had that conversation with my mom earlier because I said the thing is like Star Wars is known for its weird names. We only think Yoda is normal because it's been in our lexicon for 40 years and it is an essential part of pop culture. People complain about Yaddle in the prequels, I vividly remember finding stuff about that on Star Wars forums as a child and being like, but it's such a like funky name.
Yeah,
people are only comfortable with names. Like even Chewbacca is a weird name.
Oh yeah,
I mean,
for sure.
it all these names that are part
Lumpy?
of our lexicon. In 40 years, everyone's gonna know Grogu.
Yeah, I'm very much hoping it'll kind of grow on me.
It will.
Many weird names in Star Wars.
Ahsoka is a weird name.
Yeah. All right, let's do a roundtable. This is a question I wanted to ask for this episode. Who is all in on Grogu? Okay, Maggie, you're in on Grogu. Steve, are you in on Grogu?
I don't like to make snap judgments about Star Wars. I like to let things simmer for a while. Right now, if I'm on the board and we're deciding today, if we're deciding today the name of this thing, this is the only name up there, and I have to say yes or no. I'm going to say no right now.
Wow. Okay, Josh, what are your thoughts? You like Grogu?
I don't. Yeah, it's fine. I don't have a strong opinion, so I don't have a negative opinion, so it's fine.
Okay, Kyle.
I don't even know what a cool name for him would be. So
I think it's maybe just more of like something that has to be like a kiddie kind of, not a soft name, but like I don't know, something that kids will shout to their little doll that they have over in the corner. I hear you. You're right. I hear you. I know you're right.
You know what? Like I kind of agree with him. He's making a point, and it's hard to articulate. Like it fits like what you think. Like it's Yoda, Yaddle, Grogu.
Yeah,
like it's that like short. But it's like it sounds like a Guga or a Gorgon or a like it doesn't have this like positive. Like Yoda ends on like a high. Like it's it's accented differently, and I know this sounds so stupid, but it just doesn't sound as like cheery as Yoda. I'm not sold on it right now, but it'll grow on me.
So are you in or out? Are you in or out, Kyle?
I'm currently out. I'm currently out, but I'm open-minded.
Didn't you hear Ahsoka?
I'm currently out, and here's why.
Don't be a joiner, Blue.
Because I think, we've only seen two of this species, and it's Yoda and Yaddle. I thought it would have been kind of a cool thing if all of the species began with a Y, and that's just how they wrote their names. And I thought it would have been a much cooler moment if he had not given his name to Ahsoka, right? And if she goes, well, she finds out all this stuff about his past, right, and where he's been and what happened to him. If maybe he was a little bit guarded and didn't give his name right up front there, but then maybe later on in the season, in a conversation with Din and the child, that's where we get the name. Like the child shares his name with Din, and maybe that is the first word that he speaks. He does now. He doesn't. But here's the thing: like she clearly understands him through the Force. They're talking and communicating through the Force, and it came up earlier about the language. How this kid is 50 years old and he went through Jedi training, but can't speak basic. How do you get through training?
This is the one thing that bothered me.
Yeah. So how do you get through training without speaking basic and being around several other Jedi of different species?
Maybe he's had so much trauma that
repressed.
No, but my thing is like, as he's growing up and he's learning these languages, right? A lot of Jedi can speak multiple languages, but as he's growing, my thing is listen to how Yoda talks. It's backwards. I just think that language for this species is maybe such a hard thing for them to learn that's why he doesn't communicate vocally. And there are, other alien species in other movies that just use their mind to communicate fully. They don't even talk.
Right.
Yeah. So maybe it's not beyond the realm that this species doesn't normally use vocal communication to communicate, and they just communicate with each other through the Force within their own species. But they have learned, as Yoda did, to communicate with others using backwards basic, but basic.
Yeah. Before we get to Josh Cal, I am all in on Grogu. I love it. I got goosebumps. I think it's so much fun. It adds, just by having a name to Baby Yoda gives to me it's just something. It's just good.
Makes me warm and
it's a whole character. And I'm just so happy we dodged a bullet without naming Baby Yoda Eddie or something like that.
Yeah.
Like I'm very excited that it's not a weird name like that. Eddie. Yeah. So Josh, go ahead. What are your thoughts?
So to go back with what Justin said, this was the one thing where I was like, okay, he's been around and he's been trained by, she said like several masters, and I'm thinking, okay, please explain somewhere why he doesn't talk then, because otherwise it doesn't really make sense. Like I think that they could come up with a good reason why, like the thing that Justin said about them being like maybe primarily telekinetic or telepathic as the species. But I think I'm in on Grogu just for the fact of without learning his name in this episode, we wouldn't have got that adorable scene where every time he said his name, he'd look up at him all cute.
Yeah. Oh
Like
my
that
god.
scene. I sent you one of those. I don't know if you have it queued up, but I have.
Let me cue it up here.
Looking up at him.
That is the cutest damn thing that has ever happened.
And they did it a couple times to
it's
make
not
sure
a-
you
not
knew
this
that's
photo
what he
here.
was doing.
Yeah.
Yeah, Josh, I had the photo somewhere. Yeah, you're right. Every time Din said his name, he had that cute little head tilt.
He was so happy.
Oh my god! And he made that little noise. He was so vocal in this episode. Kyle, what's on your mind?
So I wasn't sure that he and Ahsoka were necessarily having like a conversation, like, "Hi, my name is Grogu, and I used to get trained in Coruscant." And like, I think they were able to just kind of connect, and she can just kind of see these things and sense these things and feel these things. So like, kind of to Justin's point, I don't think that he necessarily was like telling her specifically his life story so much as like she was able to connect with him and make him feel relaxed and just kind of understand these things about him. Because I don't understand the Force to necessarily work in that specific of a way anyway.
Well, Kyle, I'm the Bendu, and I understand all that Force. So I'm just kidding.
No,
But she picks up a lot from their talk. Like she talks about how he was at the temple, he trained with someone, took him, his mind went dark. So I agree with you, Kyle. That's how I was feeling it. Like it feels like it's more of like an exchanging of feelings. Like I'm afraid. Oh, I can sense that it's afraid.
Yeah.
But it seems like she picked up a lot of information as well. I'm fine with it.
and to the about him speaking, there's lots of Jedi that don't or can't speak basic. For example, Wookiees can't speak basic at all because of their vocal structure, and there's a Wookiee Jedi, multiple now actually. But
You remember that Jedi who had a speech impediment so they could understand him in the EU?
Yes.
So much.
It's kind of a dumb thing.
But my initial thought was, and they touched on it, that he was, Order 66 happened, and then so everyone died, but he lived and then was kidnapped, and then he was being used as a host to harvest his blood for these like
He's been through some
dark
shit.
science
Dude, he's just
experiments
a
or
kid.
whatever. So
Lord,
I thought it was
off.
potentially like a traumatic response.
It adds
Yes.
so much. It adds so much to his character to like know that he's gone through trauma, because we know
Yes.
that like Den has also gone through trauma, and I feel like, can you guys just bond over your trauma together and just like become an even stronger unit?
Yeah.
Because like they both need some therapy.
So speaking of trauma,
Let's do
I
it.
have a scoop.
Another scoop.
No.
Did you guys know that the Mandalorian's not actually the first appearance of Grogu?
Josh,
He was
what
in
do you
Revenge of the Sith, guys. See him right there? He was able to hide, and Anakin didn't see him.
So I have a meme for this. I have a meme for this on Monday that I can't share yet.
Grogu. Oh, that's cute. But that's where he was.
Yeah.
Yeah. He was-
Okay, so
What
do
are
we
we
have
gonna
any
do?
theories? Do we have
Master
any theories
Skywalker.
about who saved him?
Not yet.
Well, that's what.
Not
yeah.
Because I have a couple theories.
Did you say he was saved or taken?
He was
I think-
taken.
I
He
think
was,
was
taken.
taken. So I don't know that he was necessarily saved. Somebody would just may have picked him up and put him into like
Like
Something
he was
saved
stolen
him
like, didn't know
from
what he
the
was.
Anakin Skywalker Darth
Yeah.
Vader massacre.
Like
Yeah.
something got him out of Order 66.
hmm.
And why him and not any other youngling? Like I felt like maybe he
Bail
was like
Organa.
behind, and somebody was like scooped him up and was like, "Oh, I'll save you."
yeah. Bail Organa. Bail
What
to
if-
rescue.
This is my huge theory. What if it was Cal Kestis when he was like hauling and like getting out of there? Like something like he came back to the temple and then they would connect the Jedi Fallen Order if they're using the Mandalorian to connect all of these other mediums and to like make them a thing.
I'm just not
The-
all in on Cal Kestis.
They were doing they did and we saw Qui-Gon do it, but they did blood tests on all those Jedi, and they had records.
Yeah.
I imagine it's likely that he was handpicked for his quote high M count.
Yeah, and he's the same.
okay.
He's the same age as Anakin.
And he's small, and they would think easy to manipulate.
What if he's actually the chosen one?
Maybe
We have the wrong 50-year-old.
Maybe. All right. So lots of conversation on Grogu as expected. I think it's a split decision here on Star Wars Friends podcast. I think it's a name that's going to grow on people. I love that we have a name to actually and a backstory that we can learn about. I'm very excited about this. And there's a lot of people in the chat talking about what it's going to be like to see what the story is how Grogu got out of this temple. I love it. I think that there's so much that we can dissect about this. But right after this scene, Grogu gets very tired. Ahsoka's telling Din about his whole life, and Grogu's had enough. He's had a long day. He goes to sleep on this little rock, and Ahsoka says, "Hey, let's let Grogu go. And tomorrow we're going to begin some training. We're going to see if he's actually adept at the Force." Then we get the ESB moment of Ahsoka trying to train. It's a nice, also, by the way, nice swipe. Nice pan swipe there of classic Star Wars. We didn't mention this. Dave Filoni directed this.
Yeah.
Dave Filoni. Trapper Wolf.
Didn't he write it too?
Yeah. So Ahsoka's trying to get Grogu to use the Force by trying to levitate a rock back and forth between the two. Didn't go so well. Grogu was very cute in catching the rock and just drops it. I laughed. I thought it was cute. I thought it was very cute. And
he's insubordinate.
A little bit. And
He's
churlish.
It's so funny because Pedro Pascal his acting in this is a lot of the the frustrated dad.
And he also had the kid do the thing.
That was so funny. Does the head tilt. So lots of good dad moments there. Frustrated kid. He calls him stubborn at one point. He's so stubborn.
And then Ahsoka's like, "No, I was talking about you."
yeah. So Ahsoka wanted. I think Ahsoka kind of knew that it was maybe a lost cause to do the Force tricks between the two, and that Din was the actual linchpin to getting a little bit of Force abilities out of this. So, of course, Din picks up a rock and tries to have Grogu pull the rock out of his hand. It doesn't work. Din gets
a bit of a half-assed effort.
Yeah, it was
really did try.
Super half-assed. And then Ahsoka encouraged him to try to make a connection, and you get to see more great acting out of Pedro without the face, just all body mannerisms where he's like, okay, all right, deep breath. Let's try to figure this out. This is serious. And he pulls out the silver knob, right? That is Grogu's favorite toy. And there's definitely a connection there. And it took a moment, but he yanked that silver knob out of Din's hand. And it was that moment that was like, oh, this is real. This is real. And then it went totally off base. I mean, Ahsoka was basically like, really great exposition here where she talks about she doesn't want to train him because his fear. And the last time she saw a fully trained Jedi master succumb to fear, it didn't end well, or whatever her line of dialogue was. It was pretty
fear of attachment.
Fear of attachment.
He's attached.
I think there's actually a lot going on there. In that scene,
there is.
And the first time I watched it, I kind of didn't like how Ahsoka just kind of was like, "No, I don't want to train him because of this and that." But upon second watching, if you notice, Grogu, I gotta call him a child.
I thought you about called him Goku.
Goku.
Just for now, I'm gonna call him a child. The child didn't do it until it was something he wanted. And I think
true.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of scary for her to see, to be like, well, we asked him nicely to do it, and he didn't want to do it. His father asked him to do it. He didn't want to do it for him. But when he pulled out something that he wanted, he did it right away and really fast and hard.
Well, she also pointed out the fact that he hid his powers. And so there's an element of like fear. And so like if there's something that you want, you're more inclined to do it.
Right. So I think the fact that it was something that he really wanted, and the fact that it can be associated with fear or tied to attachment, those are actually the things that Ahsoka's seeing, and I didn't see him the first time. I had to see this episode for the second time to see that.
I thought she was actually referring to Grogu's attachment to Din,
Yeah.
That's why she asked him
No,
to try to make him do it. That's why he got down
Right.
on his level, and that
Acted like a really nice
is-
little dad there.
That's exactly what happened to Darth Vader. He was
Yes.
too attached to Padme,
Yeah.
and he was too scared of losing her. So his attachment and his fear led him to the dark side, and that's literally exactly what she's worried about.
Yeah.
That
Right.
this child was stolen and used as an experiment.
Yep.
So he's terrified, and now this man that saved him, he's desperately attached to. That's why he was trying to choke out Cara Dune when they were arm wrestling.
Yeah.
And this is just a recipe for
disaster. Yeah.
Yeah, the quote was, "His attachment to you makes him vulnerable to fear. I've seen what it can do to fully trained Jedi masters."
Yeah.
And
Not
I think
to quote-
that kind of, yeah, go ahead, Maggie.
I was gonna say, not to quote Taylor Swift, but she's seen this film before and she didn't like the ending.
Wow. Okay.
And I think that it also just some of my favorite things about Star Wars is all the world building. That line also does a little bit more world building in that it shows that when people say he's too old, I don't want to train him. You got to catch these kids young, man, because you got to keep them. You got to keep them from the corruption of the world and of wants and things like that, so that when they're raised to be so powerful, they know what to do with that power. And not how Yoda didn't want to train Luke. Ahsoka doesn't want anything to do with this kid. They know that if you give a loaded handgun to someone that can't handle it, it's a recipe for disaster.
That's also such a Star Wars trope, is like, I'm not going to train you.
Yeah, and then you got to
they've
turn
all
around.
done
I'm
it.
sure. Yeah.
We're not gonna train Anakin. We're not gonna train Luke. We're not gonna train Ezra. We're like, nobody's getting trained.
It's the pledge class, right? You have to stand out on the porch for 3 days to show me that you really want to be trained, and then we'll come out and we'll pledge you. Yeah, definitely.
I mean, if you're thinking about it, I mean, this is entirely the issue with the Jedi and why so many people fall. I mean, even looking forward 19 years in the future, that's essentially why Ben falls. He's attached to his family, and they all kind of, not that great. And that it's that attachment and like being let down and being taken away from your family that the Jedi just don't seem to get.
But that's my thing. Then why, like, Ahsoka goes, well, I've seen this in a kid, or I've seen this happen before. I'm not going to train him. At the same time, he's what we view as 50 years, right? But he's like a child. He's like little, like this. He's still like,
it would be like taking Anakin from me.
Teach him. Like, that's the thing. She left the Jedi because of those views and because of the things that she was trained on, when she realized there's a much broader world and scope of things going on out there that they don't teach you in the Jedi, where this is an opportunity to go, hey, I understand this kid is hurt, but he has a lot of potential and a lot of power, right? Get him back on the right course, regardless of his age, and set him straight. That's the whole reason she left the Jedi, was because of their views. So why would you try to train him in the same manner that she was trained with the Jedi?
Yeah.
Well, and so the Ahsoka that left the Jedi and has learned this lesson is probably even more paranoid to even touch it because of Vader.
That could be.
Yeah,
That's exactly right. She was burned by that probably more than anyone directly, Padme and then Ahsoka, that like were cut more deep by Anakin than anybody else, I would say. But to what end? Why would she train him? Just because she can? That's like arrogance, really. If she truly believes that he's got this darkness inside him, it's a sadness. It's not evil. He was abused and taken advantage of, and now he's scared and he's attached, and that's not his fault. But
no,
I can see where it's safer to just let it fizzle out, and because that's what she was saying. His powers are weakened because he hasn't been using them. They're out, and if you just let it go on, he won't have force powers at all, which is safe. So why do it for no reason, just because you can?
At the same time, though, I can go, okay, but she's also seen the good in the world too, not just the bad. She's seen more bad recently, but she's also seen some good stuff in the world that she can teach him right from wrong. And she doesn't necessarily have to teach him in the ways of the Jedi. She can teach him how to use his abilities and his powers to keep him safe and away from harm. Not necessarily like, hey, go slaughter a bunch of Imperial people, but you can understand what's right and what's wrong in the world by other people showing you it. Right now, Din Djarin is kind of showing him the good things that are right, but look at all the places Din's taken him.
Yeah.
All the seedy clubs and the fights and everything like that. All he's seeing is negative stuff, right? Maybe she can take him to a place, train him a little bit to see right from wrong, and set him on a better path. But I don't know. That's, it's hard.
But I don't think it's a right and wrong moral thing. Like, Anakin didn't fall to the dark side because he was bad. He was trying to do good. He was trying to save his wife.
His own
You're not
of
doing,
good.
and that's the thing. Like, she doesn't think he's going to intentionally do bad things, but the fear and attachment inside him will let his best intentions result in terrible things. And that's not a risk she wants to take.
Well, and I would say, she said, if you let him forget his powers, they'll go away. But as we've seen so far, his powers without her, or without Din even doing anything, he's been using them more, right? He used them on the Mudhorn. He used them to get the cookies. He used them to choke Cara Dune. He's using them on his own more now than he would if Din just pretended like they didn't exist. He used it to get the ball. He's using them more on his own. I don't know that Din knows that, and I'm sure Ahsoka doesn't know that, but they're not just going away on their own.
Justin, can I cut you real quick just to say something?
Sure.
I think that the thing that I liked about how this arc ultimately played out at the end is that it's allowing a Force user to have agency over their own destiny. Mm-hmm. And that's been such an issue with the Jedi, is that they take these children when they're babies. And like, we know that most of them don't even have any like knowledge of their childhood at all. And that Anakin was an aberration. And like, I think that setting it up for this agency, and to be able to be like, no, I don't want to train to become a Jedi. I can't take myself seriously wearing these. Like, I think that's like one of my biggest personal issues with the Jedi, is that they don't allow people to have agency over their own destiny. They preach so much of this, like, following the Jedi path, and like this, it's very similar to the Way. It's another form of like indoctrination, and like they don't give them the agency to make their own decisions and to set their own course. And so I really like this new addition to the Force, and to this outside of the Jedi way like path, and this taking him here and letting him choose is like, I think, monumental.
You're talking about what she told him to do, was to take him there and let him choose.
And be like,
I understand
I can't train him because if like, she would still be taking away, like, if she was like, yeah, I'll train him for a couple months. Din still doesn't think that that's like, is he supposed to come back and pick him up afterwards? Is this like a summer camp? Like, what is this?
Right.
And so I think for her, she's like, I think any severing of that bond between them, unless it's the child consciously making that choice for himself, is going to set him up for the same failure as Anakin. And so I like that distinction of like, I could train him, but this isn't what he wants. Like, this isn't so much about like you and your quest journey. This is about what's for the best for this kid.
Agree.
It would be interesting though, if he decides to go and then go, oh yeah, I want to get trained by Ahsoka, and goes back and she says, no, I'm not going to do it.
I still think she'll say no, because it's like,
I don't think she would do it.
No, I don't think she wants any part of it.
So how does that set the child back though? If his choice is, if he goes, I go to this temple, I sit there, it says, he thinks about it and says, yeah, I kind of want to go get Jedi training again. He goes back to Ahsoka, and she says, no.
Well, that's not what that wasn't
No,
one
we
of
are
the options.
we are not letting the child go to the temple to get murdered by Ben Solo, Christopher. The Star Wars Twitter is
Wrong temple.
stressful enough.
No, guys, don't. No, if he chooses the path, a Jedi can hear the beck and call.
What if it's Ezra?
Yes, I'm all about it. I'm all about Ezra. Thank you for getting me finally back into this combo, because
you were like,
I mean, listen, there's so much that there's still left to cover in this episode. It's you're right. I don't think Ahsoka's gonna go back to the child. I think this is the one episode we're gonna have.
She gave her answer.
Yeah, I think that she already gave her answer. Ahsoka is not a bullshitter. You get what you get.
I wonder if we'll see her again, like at all.
I don't think you will. I think this is the one episode you're gonna get. But yes, Maggie, I just like unleash, because I think that Ahsoka just said it. There's only a few Jedi left, and we only know of a few Jedi. Maybe it's a new character. Maybe it's Kyle Katarn. Who knows? Maybe we're gonna get somebody totally different in
one
this.
with new character.
But if anyone is going to answer the beck and call of a Jedi looking for help, it's going to be Luke Skywalker establishing a Jedi Academy. Now, it could be Ezra. Ezra's very curious. Ezra's very inquisitive. And we got, of course, a Grand Admiral Thrawn name drop tonight.
Yes.
So a lot of people have hit me up and said spinoff series ? All
The
of
way my heart stopped, I literally sat bolt upright. And I was like, "Oh my god,
insane!"
Chris, I know you're not going to like this really, but there's only one character in canon that we know for sure was looking for Jedi children and trying to get them, and that was Cal Kestis. Was out
I'm okay with Cal Kestis too.
Force sensitive.
No, I'm cool with that.
I love Cal so much.
I'm
Cal
not a
Kestis
fan of
is my
Cal
boy.
Kestis. I still hate the name. Cal Kestis sounds like a weird like foot disease or something.
But you like Grogu.
I do like Grogu. I do like Grogu. The first time I heard Cal Kestis, I was like, it just didn't click to me. But we'll see. I mean,
It's
hey,
such
listen,
a
I was
Star
wrong about
Wars
Terry
name,
Mithril. It is a Star Wars name. I guess it's in the eye of the beholder. So who knows? Maybe it's Cal, maybe it's Ezra, maybe it's Luke Skywalker.
No,
No, I don't think so.
Man,
I don't want it.
I mean, it's because as soon as you put him in there, you've changed this story now. It's now part of the Skywalker saga.
And I don't.
In
want
my
that.
opinion,
I
that's
want
what it
connection,
becomes.
but
And
not.
I don't want that.
I don't want that. I don't.
I
want
I want it the
Luke.
Mandalorian, not part of the Skywalker saga.
I actually think when they get there, it's not going to result in him sitting on the thing and calling out to a Jedi and a Jedi coming. I think he's either going to decide not to do it, or
Gideon's gonna show up and be like, "Mine."
or no one will
This is my
come,
chair.
or something.
yeah. No, for real. So right.
Din's gonna be like, "You told me to go to this place, but I've decided not to."
yes. So here's all right. So we kind of like skipped ahead. There's a lot. We kind of bounced
It's
all
an
over the place.
episode that's so like beginning, middle, and end has so much connectivity that it is really hard
Yeah.
to do it like
I saw that.
chronologically.
It is so hard. So the last we were at chronologically in the episode, we're gonna kind of skip ahead. So Ahsoka refuses to train, but was like, "Yo, if you help me out in this mission, killing the magistrate, then maybe I will," or whatever. Din takes a deal because Din's a good guy. He cuts deals all the time, professional deal maker. So they come up with this plan: a Mandalorian, a Jedi. No one will see it coming. Love that line. It's
I
a
love
great
that.
line. And so they go to the stronghold, and it's such a great scene. You see Ahsoka for a very split second. Those guards on the watchtower are like, "Oh, sound the alarm!" And she immediately jumps up onto that ledge, and it is classic Ahsoka, just wasting these fools. And that big bell, that big gong bell, she slices that in half. That falls off the platform. But I really, really love the action in this, and just seeing Ahsoka again, but for the first time in live action. So this is really cool. Kyle, what's on your mind?
This part was great too. I think this sounds like shittier than I intend for it to, but she looked a little better in the darker scenes. I think when it was really bright, the orange was a little off, and it looked much better in the dark. And this fight scene was great. She looked super athletic jumping up there. She did that thing where she pulled the weapon out of the one guy's hand into the other guy's face, which is like a very Ahsoka move. And then she had that other one run off, which is also another Ahsoka move. It just looked really, really good. But did you guys think he made some kind of comment like, there's the mercenary and there's this many troops and two droids and you'd never make it in on your own? And she's like, yeah, I guess not. Do you think that she was legitimately agreeing with him, or she was just like, yeah, okay, whatever, guy, I could? Because I feel like she probably could have done it by herself if she really wanted to.
She
but
did kind of smirk. If you go back and watch that, he's like, you're going to need more than a couple laser swords. She's kind of behind him where he says that. And you can see her face over his shoulder, and she kind of smiles and kind of looks at him. To me, that was her saying,
she does agree with him. Yeah.
Or maybe that was her saying, I like my odds, just like Din says.
There you go. Yes.
Yeah.
So she dispatches those fools pretty quickly. The bell drops, and sorry, the screen cap's a little dark here. But the town is now like in a panic because the bell started ringing. They all hide in their huts. And the magistrate and Michael Biehn, they get their troops assembled, and they are on the inner courtyard. And Ahsoka just takes this long walk into the face of adversaries.
So cool.
I really love this scene. Very samurai-esque, very Western-esque. Of course, those are classic cinematic tropes and of Star Wars. So Ahsoka, she dispatches some folks pretty quickly, and then she's kind of chasing down Michael Bihn's character and those Coruscanti droids or whatever they are. They kind of outflank her, so she disappears, and Din, I know I'm kind of moving around quite a bit, but Din drops in when the guards almost go to execute the prisoners inside of those eel tanks, or whatever they were.
Eel tanks, I like that.
I thought it was cool when she threw his pauldron down when she.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
When she walked in to be like, your bounty hunter didn't do so well, and just threw his pauldron down on the ground.
So that was a great misdirect. I love that, fooling the troops there. Now, I'm trying to like place this. Din is back at the front of the entrance to the inner courtyard, and Ahsoka is standing above his shoulder in a very great scene.
Right,
Kyle, you mentioned earlier the samurai, the wind flowing
shot.
through the
where she's up on the wall there. Yeah.
So
if you go back,
so she's
and
like
look
watching.
The fan must be 3 feet in front of her, and it must be the biggest fan in the world because you can actually see her body. Kind of like moving.
Waving.
I'm like, dude, those must have been some heavy robes, and that fan had to be kicking to get them to blow behind her. So very cool shot, though.
Yeah.
Very cool shot.
And she's like looking at him, and as soon as she sees her like partner show up and take care of the light work, she just drops right off the edge. It was so nice.
Yeah,
so
very
nice.
smooth.
So Din is protecting the inner courtyard from Michael Bihn's character. He's kind of holding up post, but you can tell it's at Western. It's a standoff a little bit. To our friend Scott in the chat here saying, was the shotgun a first for the series? I believe it is the first shotgun I've seen proper in live action. Because I do think that we keep talking about these HK droids. HK-47 droid from Knights of the Old Republic had, I believe, a shotgun style weapon. So interesting here. So yeah, Ahsoka drops in the courtyard to confront the magistrate, who we learn her name is like Velma Jesper or something. I don't remember.
Morgan
Elsbeth.
Velma Jesper.
Yeah, there we
Morgan
go. There
Elsbeth.
we go. So she has got this Beskar staff. There's all these really great scenes of those two about to get into some business here. Let me go and pull up this really cool standoff shot here.
And Ahsoka went into a big explanation about who this woman is and how she's been traveling all over the galaxy, decimating worlds to harvest materials for the Imperial fleet. And obviously she's about to ask her where Grand Admiral Thrawn is. Is she gonna get tied to Lothal in that whole project where they were harvesting Dunium or whatever they had there? And was she overseeing all those projects? I wonder if she's gonna get tied in to
like that thought.
Thrawn and Rebels and all that.
Look at the
Because
lighting
she's
there.
asking for, the lighting is great on that. Because she's asking about Thrawn, is it fair to assume that she has not found Ezra yet? Because the last time we saw Thrawn, they were together, right?
You're right.
Yeah, that was my first thought too. But then the other thing is, if they haven't found him yet, wouldn't Ahsoka still be with Sabine probably? And why would this person know where they are? So I wonder if they already found Ezra and Thrawn, brought them both back, and lost Thrawn. And now she needs to find him again for some reason.
Cool.
Exactly where my head went.
I think that they don't have any leads to where Ezra is, because so you think Ezra's support people are them. And so if someone they don't know where he is, they have to find Thrawn's underlings to see if maybe they've heard from Thrawn. And I think Ahsoka is still on her quest to figure out where Thrawn to try to get leads on where Thrawn is from his people. And then once she gets a good lead, that's when she goes to Sabine to say, this is where we need to go.
Interesting. Okay.
I mean, that's the way it worked in my head, because it
so you think she hasn't even gone to see Sabine in the epilogue of Rebels yet at this point?
Right. I think this is before that.
Wow. Okay. Spin-off series? Anyone?
Yeah. It has
Live
to
action?
It has to be.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, it seems.
I don't know about live action.
So Ezra wouldn't even be quote unquote gone yet at this time. Wouldn't have
No, he's
jumped
gone.
with-
He's
they're
definitely
yeah.
gone.
He's
He's
okay,
definitely
yeah.
gone.
This is post the end of Rebels, but pre the post scene. Is what I'm
Interesting.
saying.
So end of
Okay,
so
I
end
got
of
Well, I don't know
Rebels.
that's for sure.
Yeah.
Well, no, that's
Right,
what
so
that's
I think
that's my
your
head
assumption.
canon.
How long was it between when they disappeared and when you see Sabine on the tower on Lothal and the planet is like back to normal, right? And the mural's there and her hair is different. How long was that time jump? It was several months, wasn't it?
Well, it was years because it was
Like,
after.
yeah.
It was after
Yeah.
the
So-
events of Endor.
Somewhere, so he's saying somewhere in that time spread, this is what's happening right now.
That's
No,
that would
yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
All right.
That's my thought at least.
Okay, very good, very
Okay.
good. So let's kind of tie a bow on this episode here. So Ahsoka has the magistrate. Great battle. I mean, yeah, there's some weird cutscenes and some awkwardness between the two, but you had to get the dialogue between Michael Biehn and Mando. But Ahsoka eventually. A lot of people in the chat earlier today talked about Ahsoka's defensive position, which is classic from the cartoon where she holds up the smaller saber in a defensive pose. I was so stoked about that. Very excited. I thought we were going to get more backwards handle lightsaber than we actually did.
Yep.
Kyle,
I'll pick a nit there. Usually when Ahsoka does that switch, she actually lets go of the saber and re-grabs it the other way. And in live action, she spun it in her hand, which I recognize is like just a ridiculous thing to notice, but it is a thing.
Kyle's like, I hated Ahsoka, and here's why.
No,
Not
that's
my
not true.
Ahsoka.
I always
It's a
make up
thing I
stupid
noticed.
excuses in my head.
It's a thing I
I'll
noticed.
always make up excuses like, oh, well, maybe she had an experience where she did that and it didn't work out for her. She dropped it,
Yeah,
like go and
yeah.
tried to grab it, and
Oh,
something
okay.
happened. And,
Yeah.
interesting.
I don't ever want to lose contact from my hand because that one time on such and such. This
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. Interesting. So she defeats the magistrate, and of course there's this like quick draw moment between Michael Biehn and Mando. Mando dispatches him pretty handily, and we don't
I
get
was
to
literally
see
sitting here like, don't do it, dude. Don't do
right.
it.
Right. We don't hear if Ahsoka actually kills the magistrate, but I mean, who knows? Maybe she took her prisoner to get some more information out of
Guesses?
her, but
I was just going to say hopes that she did or she didn't. I think it makes her a little bit of a cooler character. And I always kind of looked at Ahsoka being the live action 30,000 feet person as kind of what I'm not going to use this correctly, but like a gray Jedi. She kind of works in the, like there's full dark side, and there's full light side. And I kind of play a little bit in the gray, and maybe this person needs to not be around, so.
yeah, who knows? I mean, I don't.
Kyle could be losing his mind right now with me saying that.
I think she probably let her live.
Yeah, I think
Okay.
so too.
I would
I
assume.
think so.
He's a
too.
questioner.
Yeah,
Yeah.
agreed. Puts her in the eel tank.
I think you're right to a degree, though. She is willing to do what
To play in
needs
the
to
gray?
be done, and that's part of like
I have
what
a thing
she
for-
recognized that hypocrisy in the Jedi.
Yeah. I have a thing for tortured characters. If you guys haven't figured it out yet, I just love characters. Like
You?
she's not tortured enough. She needs to go through some more bad stuff. She needs to get into a
Oh
worse
man,
place.
she's had it rough actually.
No.
You need to watch
I
the season premiere of that
fully
one
agree.
season of
I
Rebels.
fully agree.
so.
Well,
After
as soon as Kyle's ketchup comes out, we'll be
after the magistrate is handily defeated by Ahsoka, the town all of a sudden has sunlight. Everyone's excited. They put the one dude into the magistrate cape, so maybe he was the mayor beforehand.
That's what I assumed.
That's what I
yeah.
assumed.
that's
So
that's
they-
the vibe I got. Yeah.
And I
bring
think
him
that's why he didn't want him talking to him, drawing attention to him on the street earlier. He didn't
That's
know
why
that
he was
at
helping
time,
the
but
kids.
he
too.
was like
Yeah.
helping the kids. He's like, dude, just go away. Like leave
Also,
us
when
alone.
You're gonna get
when,
us in trouble.
Din,
Yeah, exactly.
when Din kind of drops in and takes care of the guys on the outside of the gate before Ahsoka goes over the wall, if you notice, he turns his blaster on that guy last, and that guy was kind of rushing out. So to me, that said he feels some kind of responsibility for the town or the people of the town.
For
So I just
sure,
figured
yeah.
he was like the ex-mayor, the ex whatever. And he
Yeah,
was trying to jump in there, and then like, well, he has a gun, I don't. So while I rush in here now, I'm going to stop because you're aiming a gun at me.
Right. So Ahsoka gives Mando the staff, said, you do this, you take this is your reward. He's like, nah, I'm cool. But he eventually takes it, and he's like, I'm going to go get Grogu. I'm going to go bring him back over to you. And she's like, nah, I'm cool. I don't want to take him or whatever. And so he goes back to the ship to find a sleeping Grogu, which is also one of the cutest scenes I have seen here. Let's pull him up. It's a little tired baby. Oh, so cute.
Aww.
So he
The new
grabbed
hammock accessory will be available for Christmas, and I think out in February then again.
Yeah. So Din takes, and he's like you can tell he's very emotional. He's very sentimental. He does not want to break the attachment, does not want to break the bond, but he wants to deliver Ahsoka to complete his quest. And Ahsoka meets Din at the edge of the ship to then give a more exposition about Tython, the Tython thing. I don't want to train him, but you need to take him to Tython, sit upon this throne on the top of a mountain, and to activate a beacon. Grogu will choose his own path. That to me was probably one of my top 3 moments in the episode, which was just allowing Grogu to make his own decisions and whether or not is going to carry on into this journey as a Jedi. So now this, okay, I mean, so this is the end of the episode. They fly away. Ahsoka gets her send off. I really do think that this is a one and done Ahsoka episode. We won't see any more Ahsoka. Do we think that the Mandalorian Din Djarin is now off of his quest and has started a new quest? Has he been given a new quest, or is he still going to follow the creed of the armorer and deliver Grogu to his species? Where do we think that we are now? Is it new quest, or is we still on the old quest?
I think he's still on the old quest.
Okay.
Yeah.
He's still trying to deliver the child to the Jedi, and until the Jedi take him and take responsibility for his care, then he's still responsible for him.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So I got to see some Tython here. So Tython is one of those planets I cannot wait to see visualized on screen. It's a planet that's been around for quite a while, very force sensitive. And there we are. Mike Harris freaked out more for Tython than Thrawn. Yeah, I think I don't know. I freaked out both moments. I don't know what got me more.
I was shocked they mentioned Thrawn. I did not see that coming at all.
Mm-hmm. So once that happened, I was sitting watching it this morning, and my wife was sitting next to me. And when they said Thrawn, I go, "Oh, Josh is going to be so excited." And she literally turns to me and goes, "Who's Josh?" And I'm like, "Yeah,
wow,
you don't know
fan
Josh,
of the show." Geez.
Josh is very excited right now.
I was very.
Has
excited.
there been any notes or rumors, or who would you guys like to see play him?
Pierce Brosnan only. Hard stop.
Only.
Okay. Has to be. There has to be a reason why he was painted in the Celebration banner. Actually, I don't know. I don't know. They have to have great cheekbones, and they have to be able to wear blue off.
Yeah.
They have to be able to pull off the voice.
Not Benedict Cumberbatch.
No.
Please don't.
No.
He's got good cheekbones.
He has a good voice too.
He's got a good voice too.
It needs to be kind of a special voice, I think, too.
Yeah.
Paul Bettany could maybe do it with some prosthetics.
Yes.
Yeah. Wouldn't that be weird?
Is that Vision?
That's Dryden Voss. Yeah.
I'm going to guess that
that
since we haven't seen or heard of any potential leaks, we're probably not going to be seeing Thrawn this season, period.
Probably
We would have heard something about it.
I think we're going to see him in the Ahsoka spinoff
Yeah,
series.
I think this was like, so Ahsoka's on her path and Mando's on his path, and this was just the tangent point between the two. I don't think the Thrawn thing is going to come to a head in another story.
Yeah, this was them saying, okay, the diehards love Ahsoka. How do we get the casuals to know who Ahsoka is, and then we can do a series about her?
Totally agree. Yeah,
Lars
totally agree.
Mikkelsen, yes.
Yeah. I want Lars Mikkelsen as Thrawn.
Yeah.
I mean, that is Thrawn to me. Now that is Thrawn. I'll say this. I've read Thrawn forever, and to hear Lars as Thrawn, I mean, that's it. That's it. Definitive Thrawn. So we'll see.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see what happens here. Is everyone else wiped? Has it been a long Thanksgiving? A couple days.
It's been
all the tryptophan.
It's been nice.
Yeah,
I only got one watch in, and it was killing me not to get the second one in because
I
normally I do
only
the
got
second
one
with
too.
like subtitles in. So luckily today was only Friday, and I got all weekend to
Oh,
get a
yeah.
couple more watches in. Yeah.
All weekend.
So for my own self-serving,
yes.
so I can get this
Do it.
question in here. If Baby Yoda is in some way involved with the return of the Emperor, does that make it any better at all?
For Rise of Skywalker.
Yeah.
Okay. Are we going down a Snoke path here? Are
I
we
just want to know if that kid is involved with that in any way, does it make it any better that the Emperor is back?
I don't think just because Baby Yoda / Grogu is involved would make it better, but I think that they potentially could make some explanations and fill in some holes that would make it better.
Oh, that
We
would
talked
be
about
so
this last
sad.
week. We talked about this last week where it was like if they, them being able to tie things together does make it better. I mean, unless they do it in a totally like weird, lame way. But I mean, yeah, usually it's the same thing that you were saying earlier about Clone Wars. Like people really got like the prequels better once they were able to like tie things together with the Clone Wars series.
Yeah.
So.
That's interesting. Yes. I mean, listen, anything they can do to help the sequel trilogy out and add some depth to the characters and stories, I'm all for it. If anyone can do it, it's Favreau, Filoni. Yeah, I'm all on board with that. I was very excited to see the Snoke in the jar, or what we presume to be those dark science cloning experiments. That is huge. So yeah, Steve, I mean, I'm a noted sequel trilogy hater at known as Chris, and anything they can do to help that story out, I'm all about it. So for sure. For sure. Any thoughts on next week's episode? Where are we going? Are we going to Tython or are we getting derailed? What's happening?
I think Gideon's going to catch him.
Gideon will get them before Tython or on Tython.
I'm totally lost because I didn't think we were going to see Ahsoka until the end of the season. I thought they were going to just keep pulling us on that string until the very end of the season. So now that we saw her and now that, exactly. Right away too.
There you go.
Now that we saw her, and now that I honestly don't think we're going to see her again, I agree with you. I have no clue where we're going. Yeah,
I don't know if we're going to get to that Avengers moment where we get all the cast and crew together to defeat the Dark Troopers. Who's going to defeat the Dark Troopers now? Not Ahsoka. Who's going to?
I mean, if we could see Ahsoka again for that purpose, but that would, I mean, it would be that. I don't think it'd be leading into anything else.
Do you think they would try to Grand Moff Tarkin a young Luke Skywalker and make it him, the person that comes, hears the call, and comes to,
I do. I think it's possible. And listen, it's a mainstream show. And I know that we always talk about how we don't want to recycle things. And listen, the Skywalker saga is probably over. Okay. This is unrealistic that Luke Skywalker is going to be there. But if they wanted a truly shocking moment, something that would rile up mainstream Dark Vader fans.
Agreed.
It is getting Luke Skywalker involved in some capacity. Now, I thought we were going to get a mention of Luke Skywalker, and that was going to be it. There's only a few Jedis left in the galaxy. Luke Skywalker is whatever. She says some name. Maybe she's just, I don't know. Does she even know Luke Skywalker? That was one of the questions we had going into this. That was going to be an interesting thing. Does she know the son of her former master? That was very interesting. But we don't know that. We don't know that yet.
If if any Jedi shows up to that call, that's almost like an abrupt end to this series as it's been established, because I asked this on a previous show, and I feel like you guys all agreed that the entirety of this series is going to be a wolf and cub, father-son excursion. Yeah. So if he puts the child on the stone at the Jedi Temple and he calls a Jedi and a Jedi shows up and takes him, the series is over. Yeah. So like I don't really think there's going to be a like new main mission. The main mission of this entire series is going to be Mandalorian figuring out what to do with Kid. I don't think they're going to be like, all right, season 3, he's actually got such and such chasing him. In season 4, his new problem is this. In season 5, his new problem is this. I think the entire show, to its entirety, the end of this show is going to be him and Baby Yoda parting in some way, I would think.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, and we talked about this a little earlier off pre-show. I think if you start inserting Ahsoka and you insert Ezra and you insert Luke and you insert all these other people, you've no longer made the story about Din Djarin, the Mandalorian, and this child. You've made it about Star Wars universe as the broader whole, right? Whereas I think you can throw a Bo-Katan in there. You can throw Ahsoka in for an episode. You can throw some of these little these characters in for one episode and leave it at that. And Kyle, you know, when we were talking earlier and you said, well, I could see Din going back to help Bo reclaim Mandalore. That's much more of a story that fits with this whole thing than anything else with the Jedi, because it's them taking back something that was theirs. It's their home planet. It's their home world, trying to get it back from the Empire, who clearly has left it in shambles. You know, and you bring in Bo, or maybe later on a Sabine, or you know, some of these other characters, and use them to retake Mandalore. I can see that much more than anything else in this series.
Lots to talk about. This clearly, I mean, this is the longest Razor Crest Reacts that we've done yet. And, you know, this is just so much. And of course, Filoni gave it to us. This is a Filoni episode classic. And it's sure enough going to be an episode we're going to dissect for a long time, especially if Ahsoka doesn't come back. We're going to wonder where the journey to Grand Admiral Thrawn is going to be. Very exciting. I can't wait to dive into this. My head's spinning a million different places. I still think Maggie Ezra Bridger is going to answer the call.
I'd be so happy.
Oh, how cool would that be? How cool
I got to start watching more of that show, man. I think I've seen all of like season 1 and season 2, and I definitely saw all of the last season of Clone Wars, but the tail end of Rebels, I still need to clean up.
Get in on it, because it's incredible.
So Chris, do you think that Ezra and Thrawn have already been found from the Purgle thing?
I think that they probably split ways, because if Thrawn is still involved in nefarious activities with world killers, that goes against my thought that Ezra could have changed Thrawn for the better. I was very hopeful that Ezra was going to be able to change Thrawn and we would get good guy Thrawn. But clearly, I don't think it matches up with the timeline. You guys were saying this could happen before that epilogue scene in Rebels. Who knows? I mean, we don't know. But my
opinion is that it's after, but I don't know.
Oh yeah, I think that this episode was after the epilogue scene of Rebels.
Yes, and I think it's probably actually after Sabine and Ahsoka have already found Ezra and Thrawn. And
Thrawn was probably an ass. He escaped somehow and is trying to build his faction of the Empire.
Or they let him go and now she needs him again. I don't know, but
could unlock. Could be a key to unlock something here. So we are going to almost get cut off on YouTube here. So we have to wrap up this episode. It's been a lot. There's clearly it's a huge episode. And we got 3 more episodes in the season, so they're going to end right before the Christmas holiday. Wild. We don't know where we're going to go from here. So everybody, let's drop our handles. Where can they find you at, Mr. Steve?
You can find me on Twitter at twit_Slinn, SLINN. Like we've talked about a couple of times here on social media, though, I don't really do too much social media. I'm just a straight up Star Wars friend. I listen to the show. I love interacting with you guys and sending texts and getting tweets back and things like that. So I'm just very happy to be able to come on again and talk to you guys about Star Wars, and just thank you guys so much for putting out a positive force.
Yeah, thanks for joining.
Oh yeah. All right. Very cool. Yeah, it's very good to have you, Steve. And you're on the other side of the country, so thank you for joining us in a different time zone here. Appreciate that. You can find the Star Wars Friends at SW Friends Show on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. You can find me and all my spoilers dropping tomorrow at No One Is Chris.
This is Josh, and you can follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Battle of Tanab.
This is Justin. You can find me on Twitter at I am the Bendu.
This is Kyle, and I am KB_legend on everything.
This is Maggie, and you can find me on Twitter at Maggie of the Town.
All right. Well, we are going to end this in classic fashion, as always. May the Force be with you.
Always.
Later.
Bye.